Hey guys, Tbull here. Today I got a game in the Baltimore for you. That's the Einstein guy there, Halloween Commander, with the guys on Boger. Um, Not a bad Baltimore game. We'll go over the game, and then once we're removed, we will be able to take a look at the enemy carrier, Graf Zeppelin. That's right. Now, for the first 3 years or so, the Super Test Group, which is a group of players that test the new ships before we get them, they always did it on their own independent server. You'd never see the upcoming ships, very rarely, and usually it would be wargaming employees that would be playing them. But now, the last two, three updates, it seems like now we're starting to see these ships in the wild when they're testing them. Probably just easier to let the guys test them on their own time as opposed to getting all the super testers playing at the same time, which is how they always did it. Going back to the alpha test, which I was a part of. So, Graf Zeppelin, I think it's a tier 7 carrier Germans. And what's it going to be? The next campaign reward ship? Time will tell about that. But we should expect to see it in the game here. So we'll take a look at the ship uh, towards the end of the match. We'll actually get a little bit of a look at it, a live look at it up close and personal. So Baltimore here. Capture the base mode, so no caps over here. We are on the eastern flank though, and we're going to be pulling up to this island and trying to project power both on this flank, dealing primarily with this Prince Eugene, the Colorado, and then I think there's a Cleveland or something over here. It looks like the Cleveland is the third ship over here. So we're going to be trying to deal with them. We'll also be able to project some power in the middle, especially if anyone's going through the center towards the base. We'll see that as well. So I don't spec my American cruisers, heavy or light, for range really, because the shots are really slow, and at range it becomes pretty tough to hit. Now, right off the bat, the Graf drops us here. I thought we'd be safe being this close to the island, but he drops the torps right at the edge. We were attempting to back up to dodge them, got clipped with one of them, popped the damage control. Flood damage is problematic, of course, but if we get hit by another HE shell here in the next minute or two, we're probably going to have a fire that sticks, and there it is. So we're going to have it burn for the full 28 seconds of the fire, since the damage control won't be reloaded until well beyond the duration of the fire. Ping in the North Carolina would like to have him be in a spot where you can actually shoot these guys, get some shots on fire, and provide the fear factor, because right now they're just kind of feeling fine just sitting there and shooting me. But if the battleship gets into a position where he can shoot, and that would be not immediately behind an island hiding, then that threat factor is present, and they're forced to react to that. So, noticing the planes coming back our way. Now, a lot of times the carriers will just focus me just because they recognize my name. This guy, I don't believe he does that this game, which is nice. It's kind of annoying when it does happen, but the downsides are we're not going to be able to see what it can do against us, the Graf Zeppelin, but we can tell due to the amount of planes that we're shooting down, that the planes can be dealt with. So American cruisers generally have pretty good AA, and Baltimore no exception. And you can see what we're doing here. We're just kind of moving forward, popping off a shot or two, trying to wound these guys. Colorado's getting low. That's changing spots, backing up. I always put the prop mods on these type of cruisers that are going to be kind of playing by the islands like this. Start and stop quickly, just shift around, keep people guessing, and keep people afraid. Boise sitting there kind of broadside, wasn't necessarily probably expecting us. We are being plane spotted, so he's aware of us, of course, but he wasn't maybe thinking we'd be attempting to shoot him. And we get some, decent shot on him. Just let him know we're thinking about him, go back to the other side. We'll try and continue to contain the Prince Eugene and the Cleveland over here, and then we'll keep an eye on the Boise. If he wants to move back in a position where we can hit him again, maybe we'll give him another dose of these booming guns, these nasty American AP firing guns that are some of the best guns in the game, no doubt. The Eugen taking some pretty good damage now. Cleveland finally becomes spotted again, and here comes the planes again. I guess he has given us a fair amount of attention, but we're blasting a lot of these planes, so making it difficult for him. And we'll see if we can avoid another hit from that carrier. And you can see we just pop up, take a couple shots, move back. We're kind of tanking for the North Carolina, unfortunately, who's just now kind of moving forward, and somehow he's lost most of his health already. But, we'd prefer, frankly, for them to be shooting him. He does have the sturdier armor scheme. There's a Colorado moving through the middle here, and here's what we're talking about, being able to, if we're keeping an eye on the map, we can provide kind of cover to other parts of the map here. Now, Colorado might be thinking to himself, okay, I can make a play into the base. Whether or not he sees the battleship that's sitting on the base, we don't know that for sure, but even if he does, he might be thinking, okay, I can kill that guy and start pressuring the base. Looks like Blues kind of punched through on the west. They've won that flank, or they've got one more ship to deal with, then they'll have unfettered access to the base. So he might be thinking, okay, well, it's beginning to look a little dicey. Maybe we should pressure the base and force them to respond that way. Continue with our plan here. Now watch this shot on the Cleveland. He's border humping, and we zoom in a few times just to see where it aims, and then we shoot basically exactly where the game suggests, because when the ships are moving into the border like that, all of a sudden they begin to move very strangely, and hitting them becomes exceedingly difficult. So you just want to completely rely on where the aim is suggesting, or the game is suggesting you aim. Just go ahead and take that shot. That's going to be your best bet in those instances. But here we saw the Boise once again pop the radar, hoping he was in the range. I wasn't sure exactly how far away is. He's well out of the radar range though, but get him visually confirmed again, and we'll go ahead and send a couple rounds downrange. Now this is going to be very menacing and problematic for him. One shot took down most of his health. He's got about 5k left, 6k, whatever it is, and the follow-up shot takes him down to the mat. So he's off the board there, and once again, that's just kind of us trying to pay attention, cover more than one spot here. We don't want to ever, in this game in general, be tunnel focused or just zoom down the sights, zoom in, stare at the same ship for 10 minutes, shooting them upon reload. That's when you're going to be missing all these number one opportunities, number two threats. I mean, you got to be, if you watch me shoot, some people think it's a little annoying how much I zoom in and out. I'm doing it for two reasons. So number one, see where the game's suggesting the aim to be. You can get a read on the speed and other factors for that, but also zooming out after every shot so we get a wider view and we're just not tunnel focused on one ship all the time. Because if I'm just zoomed in on that Cleveland, I'm not seeing when that Eugen shoots. I'm not seeing what he's doing with his positioning, his angling, and we're be missing that. Same with the Colorado, who's moving in the base now. Same with the Boise that was out there earlier. If we're just focused on the one guy the whole time, missing a lot of these opportunities. Okay, so now our team has begun to move into the base. That's a scoring play. Colorado is currently countering that. Neither team is accruing points from the cap right now. If normally you get 2 points every 5 seconds, assuming the enemy's not on your base trying to capture it. But if we get this Colorado off the board, then once again our background score begins to increase on its own. So he goes down there for our third kill. North Carolina is begging us for help. That's fine. We'll go ahead and see if we can help him out here. He's been trying to deal with 2 cruisers the whole game and hasn't had a lot of success. Kind of been relying on us for the most part. That's fine. So we'll see what we can do there. We do have that Amagi that is kind of heading over this way as well. He's the red battleship to the south of the base there. So we got to keep an eye on him, but there's still more time. And the game is looking pretty good, right? I mean, this isn't quite loss-proof, and this game actually is relatively close at the end, but we will wind up winning it. But, you don't want to make any sort of assumptions in these type of instances, because once again, because we have this built-in kind of tie-breaking score lead in the background, well, now red is basically forced to sink everyone, and we got a North Carolina bias who can be sunk pretty rapidly. My ship, if I get hit by the Amagi, for instance, I can get killed in 1 or 2 shots. We got to take into account that. The problem that red's going to have is this Eugen to keep himself preserved. He's kind of hiding all the way to the back of the map. They're going to be needing to be really pressing aggressively forward. When you're forced to kill everyone rapidly, you got to be in position to do that. We got a battleship in our base. We got a carrier hiding behind an island. We got a couple cruisers. We got the North Carolina still. So, yeah, as a cruiser, you would be like to ideally be sailing away from these guys, but your team has no longer afforded you that luxury because our team has been scoring in the background. We now have a tiebreaker, and by the way, we got a substantial ship lead to begin with. So, yeah, I get it. You'd rather be sailing away, keeping yourself safe. That's the way to take this fight. That's why he's surviving as long as he is, but it's going to put him out of position even if they begin to get a couple kills here and there. Getting back in a position with just a few minutes left in the game going to be problematic. So at this point in time, I'm saying to myself, okay, there's one guy targeting me. It's the Eugen who's shooting at me constantly, and we kind of committed to turning out here and briefly saw the two, so I was getting a little bit nervous. But I do want to turn away from this Moggy because, once again, I don't want to get too close to him. As soon as we kind of commit to making the turn, though, the two pops back up, and then the shots come boom. They weren't quite killed there, luckily. Lived to get at least a couple more shots off before he deletes us, but that was, you know, a little bit of a risk there. Anytime you're turning in front of a battleship like that, you got to assume they're going to try and hit you. But we were kind of relying on that ingenious indicator that's telling us how many ships are actively targeting us to say, okay, maybe we can get away with this turn quickly. But alas, it's not meant to be. So we do manage to get a fair amount of damage on him, and he's going down. The game's looking pretty good. We're down to 4 ships, though. Once again, probably the saving grace is going to be just how far back our guys are. That will prevent us from losing the game, because if they were a little bit closer, you never know. But the Eugen's very low, the Eugene, low health, and then the carrier, of course, is going to have a hard time killing a bunch of ships on his own. But here, speaking of the carrier, we'll kind of zoom in here in just a moment. Once he's spotted, we'll go ahead and take a look at the ship. Now, the Graf Zeppelin, it was the first German carrier introduced. I guess it was released in an unbalanced state, and like the player base revolted, and it was removed after 5 days from being available to purchase, and then it was reworked, and now it is what it is. I don't know. So how closely our version is going to be to the PC, we won't know for sure. But one thing it does have is great secondaries. Now, they start going off here right when he looked like he was about 6 kilometers away or so. Of course, we don't have access to the stats or anything on the ship yet, but it looks pretty menacing. Like, if you're one of those destroyer guys that for the first 15 minutes or the first 10 minutes of the match you spend going around the edge of the map trying to get around the team so you can go hunt the carrier. Well, if the carrier gets a whiff of you and kind of figures out you're in the area, launches a plane, spots you, and then all of a sudden this nasty secondary attack goes off before you can get close enough to kill yourself with a suicide strike, trying to torp from point blank range, that could be a major problem. So that's the look at that carrier in action. It seems interesting. Of course, we'll cover it on this channel when it's actually released and do a full breakdown, but I thought I would just show you this game because it was not a bad, it's kind of a working man's pretty good Baltimore game to begin with. But then we got to look at this carrier in action here as well and confirm it for you guys that it is out in the loose, and it should be coming, I would guess, maybe next update, but we'll stay tuned. Once the patch notes come, we'll figure out exactly what's going on there. So I think we'll trim it down there now. It's just kind of a carrier duel for the rest of this game, so we'll cut to the end screen so you can see the scores. But that's going to do it for this one, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. Lots of World of Warships coming for you all the time. Questions, comments, leave them below. Love to hear from you guys. And we'll see y'all later. Peace.